missed the vote.
All right, this meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press and posted on municipal bulletin board. All notices are on file with the Planning Board Secretary. Fire exits are located on the east and west sides of the council chambers, as well as the rear of the building. I would ask that anybody that has a cell phone or other device to kindly put it on silent mode for the duration of the meeting. It's just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded by APTV, and please join me for a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
June 11, 2018, 7 p.m. Councilwoman Yvonne Clayton. Here. Mayor John Moore.
Here.
Sarah Ann Towery.
Here.
Michael Manzella.
Here.
Trudy Syfax. Tony Perillo. Alexis Taylor. Here. Rick Lambert. Barbara Krizak.
Here.
Rick Henry.
Here.
Allison McLeod.
Here.
All right, let's review what the agenda is going to be today. We have the minutes, approval of minutes for the June 4th meeting. There's a discussion for Sacman Enterprises. There's an application that was scheduled, and at this point, do we know a date for this?
Yeah, they're going to be carried to the June 25th meeting, and I did get a letter from the applicant's attorney extending the time constraints.
Okay, so 3 Sunset Drive will be carried to June 25th without notice?
Yes, we need a motion for that.
I move to carry the application to June 25th without further notice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I hope you have a quorum. June 25th, tough date for a lot of people. Okay.
Who will not be there besides, I know Trudy will not be there, I know you will not be there. Okay, who will be here?
There you go.
Okay.
You got enough. Okay.
And then we have a couple members missing, so.
All right, we will be reviewing 3 resolutions, one for Asbury Lanes, one for ABG Establishments, which is the beer garden, and also the one for Johnny Mac's. Then we'll be going on to committee updates, and that'll be it. All right, let's go to the minutes for June 4th. There's one minor change that I did ask Barbara to make to the minutes, and that is to state that in the minutes it did not state that the applicant's lawyer was going to help move the process along the best that he could to apply as whatever pressure he could to the remediation that had to be done so that they would hit the October 2019 date. That's the only addition that I've asked for. I don't know if anybody else had anything else.
Yes,
Yeah, we weren't listed.
Okay.
Myself and Jim
Oh,
Henry
okay.
weren't
Yes, I
listed as
think so.
present. Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to approve minutes with those changes.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, we're ready to hear the discussion for and board review of the Sacman Enterprises.
If I may, Andrew Carriage from Fox Rothschild. First of all, I want to apologize for my casual appearance. I mean, no disrespect. I got a calendar of this matter on for tonight. Very simply tonight, we're awaiting an FHA permit from the DEP. We're going to request that the permit be made a condition of the CO so we can at least go ahead with the project. We've had correspondence back and forth with the DEP. I can have our engineer just very briefly go to the discussions with the DEP and where that permit is.
Michelle, please.
Please raise your hand.
Sure.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give during these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I did.
Probably a good idea, I'm sorry, to have Jason speak.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give during these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Jason Fitcher, board engineer.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matthew Knowles with Dressner Robin.
Can you spell your name?
Neuls.
Thank you.
Matt, where is the project relative to the FHA permit?
Meaning in terms of the process of?
Correct.
Approval, it's been with the DEP for several months. They did ask us for some revised materials, we did provide those. We got an email back from them saying that the materials look good and that they'd be able to issue the permit. And that they had no further concerns.
Is there no further impediments to the permit being issued, am I correct?
No, none that I'm aware of, that's correct.
Based upon that, we're just waiting for that. Unfortunately, moving ahead with the project is contingent upon getting that permit. If we can just make that permit a condition of the CO, obviously, my client, they bear the risk in the event the FHA permit is not issued. But based upon past experiences, has been done before with other projects on Lake Ave, where the FHA permit has been a condition of getting a final CO so projects can get going and construction can take place. Otherwise, it can take quite a while for that permit to be issued.
So if this permit is not, if the permit, what's Plan B if the permit is not issued? What's Plan B? What would it look like?
No, I think the permit, if the permit's not issued, the building wouldn't be able to open. It needs that in order to be occupied.
Okay.
To
I guess
in accordance with state law.
I guess the follow-up question is what could possibly change regarding the design or
At this point, I don't think anything, because the main floors of the building are at the required elevation. And the only things we have that are below the elevation, and actually they actually meet the flood elevation, but they're not 1 foot above, which is what's required, is a side entrance by a staircase, things of that nature, and there's flood proofing that's been provided. And like I said, we got an email back from the DEP saying that the information we provided looked good and they were going to issue the permit.
So let's say they don't. Once again, what could possibly happen? How would the design change if they don't agree?
I guess the only question would be this side entrance area, this small area, that someone would have to try to find a different way to do it. But so that small little side entrance may have to be changed in some way. I can't speak to specifics because I really don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of, because the main floors are at the proper elevation.
Right, well, I know that my personal concern always is the parking.
Yeah.
Because you're always on the first floor. What happens if, for some reason, you don't get the permits and something has to change with that floor? And you've already started and you're already on multiple floors.
The parking.
What happens?
Well, I don't think that's likely, because the parking's already okay, even though it's a lower elevation, it freely drains and that meets the requirements. So I don't see that being an elevation. I don't see that being an issue at all. Because like I said, it freely drains, which meets one of the requirements, and I think we've made that case on that.
And does the DEP agree with that?
Yeah, they do that all the time. That's as long as your parking can't be below the flood house elevation, as long as it freely drains to the outside, and we've designed the building that way. So I don't expect that would ever become an issue.
So the only potential issue, if any, would be a side entrance, which you can engineer to revise, am I correct?
Yeah, I think if right, that's correct.
But based upon all indications from the DEP, there are no issues with where that entrance is, am I correct?
That's correct. That's correct. It's been reviewed, and we provided the additional information, which was an architectural design for that flood proofing, and that's been, as far as we know, accepted. And the wording was that it's okay.
Can I just ask, sorry, I think the flood hazard permits normally have like a 90-day review. Was it just that they needed more information? Like, do you know why you needed more time or more back and forth?
They told us in our last correspondence with them that they had, I think, 6 other applications ahead of ours as far as finalizing the permit, and that was the reason for the delay, why they couldn't just issue it right away. They spoke with the design engineer in my office. That's what he referred to me.
A lot of the issues with the DEP is just manpower at this point. Just having enough bodies to be able to review all the materials that come in.
Did they give you any projection of how long it would take?
I believe that 90-day time clock that was referenced, I believe that runs out at the end of June or early July at this point. So it could be a number of more weeks.
Does anybody else have any questions?
So you referenced other municipalities have been willing to say that they'll go to it, whatever.
agree, each application, certainly each circumstance is separate.
Yeah.
But in terms of just the board has acted on that, what the circumstances were.
I know for myself, and I don't know how the rest of the board feels, I would rather see what would Plan B look like. Because right now, we're approving something, or potentially approving something, but actually probably because it's a discussion, we can't really approve anything. But I'd like to see what it could be. What would it look like? Whatever this change might be, what is it? As opposed to pretty much blindly saying, okay, and if it goes south, then what? What are we approving? What is it gonna look like? Are we going to come and beg for forgiveness? That's happened in the past in this municipality, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Well, keep in mind, the DEP is gonna act within about a month or so. So
Okay.
no building is going to get built. It's a matter of just getting going with the site work so the property isn't sitting for another month.
Mhm.
So it's not as though building's gonna go up, we gotta change the design. Nothing's going up by the time the DEP is gonna act on this. It's just getting going with that site work.
Yeah, and I think we could add to that the type of work that would happen in the first, couple of months is foundation work, which is not gonna change, regardless of what, anything the DEP could say, because, it's not gonna be affected by that.
So if we put a condition that we won't go beyond any foundational type work, then we're fine with that. Until that DEP, the
Well,
FHA is in.
maybe to address your concern, Barbara, could we potentially put a condition that if there are major changes that come out of the permit review process, that they would have to come back to the board anyway to...
I agree with that, but I also agree with what they were saying here, is that say you will not go beyond a certain point, because at a certain point, it's a point of no return. And it will cost the applicant a lot more in order to be able to make those changes, but at some point, you may end up just stopping. And is that really where we want to be? Because, to be quite truthful, that parking lot is used right now by many cars. And if you start work, and then suddenly we have to stop for whatever reason because of these permits, then what? Where do those cars go?
Well,
Do
keep in
you
mind-
have
keep in mind
the
that
plan?
that's part of this, we have to make provisions for the parking. That's a condition of the approval that was given. You can't just start work and not have those cars going anywhere, so that is a condition.
So where are those cars going?
I don't have that information on me right now, so I wasn't prepared with it, but there's a plan for those cars to go somewhere else, and again, that was a condition.
Mhm. So if I could ask our professionals, what process do we use for a discussion? Is this an amendment? What is this?
To me, it's more of a field change. It's not, I'm looking at what I think to be the approvals. I don't really, it's more of an engineering detail as opposed to a condition of approval. I mean, ultimately, if it changes the look of the building, yeah, that's.
Well, that's what I'm concerned about.
But for right now, I think the board could act, if the board so chooses, that would permit them to proceed with laying the foundation in, subject to them telling us within X amount of days. If they're telling us it's gonna be 3 or 4 weeks, within 3 or 4 weeks where they stand.
If I may,
Or supply us with whatever.
there was a letter that had been submitted to the board. It's from the DEP and Michael Sheehan, dated May 16, 2018, and it reads as follows. It's our engineer. States, Christopher, the plans and certification look good. Please send 4 signed and sealed copies of the plans and 1 signed and sealed copy of the certification. You will get the permit out as soon as possible. Thank you, Michael Sheehan, environmental engineer for the DEP. So it's gonna be issued, just it takes time.
So there were no, in what was submitted to DEP, it was that they requested more detail. There was no material change to the side door.
No, the detail they asked for was a flood-proofing measure, basically what was that gonna look like? Because again, the side door is at the flood elevation, not 1 foot above as typically is done. So they asked us for the detail on that, how that's affixed to the building, how it looks, specific detail that was provided by the architect actually, and sent to the DEP. And this was the DEP's response after we sent that in.
All right, do our professionals have any concerns here or any thoughts about this request?
I think as a practice, this specific case aside, as a practice, it would be a bad idea. I think they have, because, for the reason you stated, what if the DEP comes back with something different that changes the project, and somebody is $1 million into a project, are you gonna tell them to take it down and change it? You're in a bad spot at that point, so I think that's a bad practice. In this case, and I'll also tell you, in my experience, I've gotten those emails too from the DEP reviewer that says, send me the plans, I'm gonna give it to my supervisor, we're gonna sign and get you the permit out. Great, and then it goes to the supervisor, and then you get the letter, make these changes and whatnot. That's why they have that supervisor level. So that, I don't have 100% comfort in that. It's certainly, you've gotten past the reviewers, and that's good. But I think in this specific case, there might be a reasonable way to get this done. I think the idea of putting in the footings is probably a good one, and stop there. They've posted their bond already. So let's just say, the worst case scenario happened and the supervisor looks at it and denies the thing and they can't do it. And there's excavations and footings in all over the place. We have the bond where we could recover that site back to a parking lot and call it that. I mean, that's the doomsday scenario. It's probably not gonna happen. But, considering that, I think we're in a good place to protect that. So, as a practice, I don't think it's a good idea to allow construction permits without a flood hazard permit or whatever other kind of permit. In this case, I think it would be okay to go through to the footing stage and then stop there.
When you say footing, you're also talking foundation, which goes with it. Footings and foundation.
Have you submitted construction permits yet?
We've been for plan review.
No. But Andy may answer that. He's not the one. Just went through my road. Went through plan review.
So, no, now I forget the question. Did you submit for construction permits?
No.
No, okay. So I think by the time you submit for the permits, get the permits back, get the footings excavated, get them in, based on the timing you gave us, you should have your DEP permit by then.
They won't accept the construction permits until this is squared away. That's the information.
Yeah, that's what we're saying, right? So in other words, if the board says, okay, you can proceed for footings.
Then we can go ahead. Okay.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm thinking footings because I think the timing should work for you.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
I would agree.
I think that that's not an unreasonable thing. And when you're saying footings, like what kind of a time frame are we talking about that you would need?
6 weeks.
So if we say that, all right, in 6 weeks, you can proceed, and when 6 weeks comes and you still didn't get this, everything stops. Does the board have any comments? Would you like to comment on any of this? Besides what we've already said?
Thinking in terms of timelines, when you say 6 weeks, what are we talking about? To get a permit, to finish construction from now, to finish construction after permits are issued?
Why don't we do this? Can we swear? Sorry, I'm going back and forth. Just get lost in translation.
These are swear.
Hi.
solemnly swear or that testimony you give during this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
State your name for the
It's
record.
Anthony Diamore, D''Amore.
Thank you.
So, if the board was to say, okay, tonight through footings, between submitting, getting your permits back, doing the work, and completing the footings, starting tomorrow, how long do you think that would be?
6 to 8 weeks. So
Okay,
it would
for
take
all
us,
of that.
yeah, it would take us about 2 weeks. If I can submit for footing and foundation permits or footing permits for tomorrow, it would take us about 2 weeks to get the construction permits back from the city, from the construction department, and about, 6 weeks to actually excavate, put them in, and then move on to the next stage. So we'll
Right.
pull our permits in different stages per floors.
Yeah.
So, but if we could just pull footing permits,
So I think
that should work.
So as a stop measure, if it works for you, I would say completion of footings, and while
Yeah.
we're inspecting, we can just monitor that and report back to you as needed. And it seems to me with this discussion that construction should be seamless from there. The permit should come in, then they'll get their foundation permit, that'll never stop it.
I would think that if you're not gonna get it within 6 weeks, then I think
Then
there might be
then
some
we're
bigger
then
issues
we have an
here.
issue, We're back here,
Right.
so. I think that's fair, and timeline works out pretty well.
Michael?
This may be somewhat on topic, but maybe a little off topic. I'm just curious, this is in a redevelopment area, correct, or not?
Yeah, it's in the
CBD.
So you have an agreement with the city.
We anticipate we're gonna finalize that very soon.
Are the terms of that agreement inconsistent with anything that's been talked about here? Bringing it up.
Okay. Alright.
So I understand how the city is not at risk explained because of the bond and it had to be returned to the parking lot. You guys don't see any risk in taking on the footings and having something change?
No.
So then at that point, have to come back here again to let us know what the status is.
We'll either have
If
the
it changes.
FHA permit, we'll submit, or we'll have to come back.
And the footings are not really anything, I mean, the footings are something that would not change if this was approved. The footings, no matter what, would not change. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Unless you get into that dramatic scenario, which you probably won't on this one.
And if you do, the bond covers the work
Bond
that was
covers
already
it.
done.
Yeah, I'm thinking at that point, the footings are below grade, so you would just cover them up and then pave the parking lot.
So the next guy can use the foot.
Do an asphalt on the footings.
All right, so then if we, so as a matter of process here, because we're just in discussion, once again, is this something that we take a vote on? Is this something that how do we do this?
I'm looking at the conditions, it's not really altering any of the conditions in there. It's, you know, we don't get involved in construction details like this, the permits and like are usually internal, and Jason deals with that, internal stuff, so.
And is that something that,
I still think you need a motion.
we still need a motion, we still need to
a
vote?
motion to establish what they're gonna be permitted to do and the timeline within which they can
Okay.
do it. And if at the end of the timeline they haven't done it, they have to come back. Or submit.
Can I ask
Sure.
a question? Does she need?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause I was just wondering how we're gonna do the zoning.
I was just gonna ask you that.
All right, swear in.
Swear or affirm the testimony that there is, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I do Barbara Van Wagner, zoning officer, assistant planner, and secretary to the boards. When you submit the permits, are you going to do it in a phasing kind of situation, so you'll just be? All right, because if you just do the footings, then that's all I'll give you the zoning permit for.
Correct.
And then at that time, if you have the permit from
Then we'll go.
DEP, then you can come back.
Stage.
Jason will review the way we normally do, that everything is done, and then we'll
Right.
issue another zoning permit to continue the process. Is that
For the balance of the
correct,
project,
everybody?
yes.
All right.
Jason, is that good?
Jason?
Yeah, it's a good question, so how do you sign the plans?
Yes, if the permit's not issued, how do you sign the plan so that you issue a
Well, he
zoning?
would have to just submit.
Is that
what-
the right question?
No, he can only get a zoning permit
For footings.
for what we approve him right now. I can't give him a zoning permit for the entire project
Right.
if we're not letting him do the whole project.
Just the language on there where
Does,
it's limited.
does this meeting here result in a resolution?
It could, if that's what the board wants.
I think it should.
With the
Well-
timeline.
I think it should, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do, up top. You said which
Oh,
item?
I'm sorry, yes,
There's
upper
six.
six.
Upper six, okay.
Oh.
Subject compliance, report proposed conditions? That section?
Yes,
Okay, good.
where it says, as part of this current application, the project, the board finds that it may grant amended site plan.
Hold on.
Just doesn't read right.
Okay. Strike out the words "the project."
Okay, get that?
So it'll go right from, as part of this current application, the board finds that it may grant amended site plan approval as requested at this time.
Anyone else? All right, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
we have any committee
Yeah,
updates?
I just
Oh,
want to read this out.
okay, sorry.
Alice McLeod?
Yes.
Mayor John Moore?
Yes.
Alexis Taylor?
Yes.
Ariane Towery?
Yes.
Jim Henry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Yvonne Clayton?
Yes.
And Barbara Trujillo.
Yes. Any updates from any of the boards or the committees that would like to give us any updates? Okay, all right, so motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.